detonate an atomic device, we might start a chain reaction that destroys the world. We're in a race against the Nazis. And I know what it means if the Nazis have a bomb.
We have a 12-month head start.
18.
How could you possibly know that?
We've got one hope.
All America's industrial might and scientific innovation connected here. A secret laboratory. Keep everyone there until it's done.
Hello and welcome to Washington Post Live. I'm Ann Hornaday, Chief Film Critic for the Washington Post. Full disclosure, I'm having some trouble hearing the audio today, but I'm going to soldier on hoping that you can hear me. Today I am pleased to be joined by Cillian Murphy, star of the smash hit movie Oppenheimer, in a performance that has earned him a Golden Globe Award and an Oscar nomination. Cillian Murphy, welcome to Washington Post Live.
Thank you very much.
All right, again, I'm unable to hear you, unfortunately, so I'm going to, but for the benefit of our audience, I am going to just dive in and hope that that I'll be able to hear you soon. Cillian, before we jump into the film and your performance and the man, J. Robert Oppenheimer, I want to hear about how this project came together for you. This is the 6th time you've worked with Christopher Nolan. He has said that he conceived of this with you in mind. So tell us a little bit about what those initial conversations were like. And I'm going to check on my speakers while you talk.
Sure. Well, I hope you can hear me. The way that Chris and I work is that he basically calls me up when he has a new project, and in the interim, I don't really know what he's writing or what he's planning. It's always a wonderful surprise when he does call me. So on this occasion, he called me in I think it was September 21, and he said that he had a new project and it was called Oppenheimer, and that he'd like me to play Oppenheimer. So naturally, you go through the various different stages of kind of exhilaration and shock, and then acceptance, I guess, is the final stage. And that's when I just started working. And we had about 6 months to prep, and then we started shooting in February of 22.
Mm. And of course, you know, we know Christopher Nolan loves to work big, but this is on a completely different level of magnitude. By the way, I can't hear you, which is, you know, always a plus in these Washington Post Live
Wow,
sessions.
fantastic.
So it's good to see you and hear you, Cillian Murphy.
You too.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about how you prepared for the role, and I'm particularly interested in a character like J. Robert Oppenheimer, who's so much in his head. You know, I mean,
Hmm.
this is really a movie about a man thinking, you know, and solving
Yeah.
problems mentally. And I'm wondering if that entails a different kind of preparation, if you need a certain kind of handle in order to kind of play that internal journey, or if the technique or the process is any different for you.
The script offers the most instruction at the beginning, you know, and I think people know at this stage that the script was written in the first person, which is very, very unique. I had certainly never encountered it, and I knew that the instruction contained in that was that it was going to be a very subjective storytelling through the eyes of Oppenheimer, and that we would be as close to Oppenheimer as possible as he sort of wrestled with these extraordinary dilemmas and paradoxes throughout this period in history. So I worked on 2 strands. I worked, you know, reading all the historical materials that are out there and looking at all the archival footage that was there, obviously reading American Prometheus, upon which the script was based, working on his physicality, on his voice, um, um, and then discussing an awful lot with Chris all of the time, coming here to Los Angeles to do camera tests and makeup tests and costume tests. And then always in the back of your head, you know that the film is going to be presented primarily in IMAX, shot on IMAX cameras. So at the back of your mind, you are thinking, this is going to be presented on these 80-foot screens. So I really, hopefully, just have to think it and it will transmit. Do you know what I mean? And we both kind of recognized that it was going to be a relatively interior performance, and we wanted to try and access that interior landscape in the performance and in the shooting of the piece. Um, but I've always loved that sort of acting, acting in where the character is in reflection, in repose. Despite the film being quite verbose, there was an awful lot of that sort of acting involved. So it was a long, long process, and we worked very, very closely. But Chris is such an extraordinary director of actors, and we have such a really clear shorthand at this point in our careers that it seemed to go. We kind of hit the ground running, you know.
Right, right. That's so fascinating that the huge, large-scale format of IMAX actually demands a more intimate performance.
I didn't really think about it that directly, but I was aware, having been a bit of a Nolan veteran, that's how these films get shown. And you know, when you see an IMAX film in an IMAX theater, it is so immersive. And I knew that that's what Chris wanted from the character, was to try and take the audience inside of what he was experiencing.
It is. It is such an intensely subjective journey, and I think that the even as you said, as verbose and as fascinatingly verbose. I mean, I when I was watching this, I was leaning in to catch every word
Mhm.
that your character and Robert Downey Jr.'s character and Emily Blunt, everything everybody said had such high stakes and was so interesting, just substantively. But what we bring with us and what we come away from is really this portrait, this intensely emotional portrait of this man grappling with his quest and then the legacy of that quest. And that sort of leads me to ask what you, at the end of the day, after doing the research and internalizing Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
what do you think motivated him? Do you think it was his personal intellectual ambition, or the war effort, or I don't know, have you come away with any major conclusions about what drove him?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. He was so complex and so contradictory in many ways. And I definitely think ambition was certainly part of it at the beginning. Um, to be the father of the atomic bomb, I think that was meaningful to him. I do believe that he had a conscience. I do believe he believed very strongly in the war effort. I do believe he felt that it was just the war at the time and this effort. Um, I do think he was vain. I do think he was arrogant. I do think he was flawed. But what I've always landed on at the end is that he was intensely human. Um, he may have been a genius, may have been one of the most brilliant minds to have ever lived, but he was still very much a human being. Uh, and that's what I leaned into the most, or tried to lean into the most, because you have to have that relatability, I think, for audiences to go on the journey with you, you know?
Absolutely. Because it would be so easy just to play him as the icon or as the edifice, that title, American Prometheus, being, you know, a case in point.
Yes, and
One
I
of
and
the
I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think that thing, and the title of the book being American Prometheus, I think we wanted to also lean into the Promethean aspect of his character, and also the kind of Faustian aspect of his character, which is really, really important. That's the sort of tragedy of the story, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so many great sort of chamber pieces within this grand vision. And one of
Mm.
those chamber pieces features you and Gary Oldman,
Yeah.
Oppenheimer and Harry Truman. Wonderful scene. Um, again, played on so many different levels, and it's a little cat and mousey in terms of, this is when Oppenheimer comes to Truman, and as he famously said in real life, I feel like I have blood on my hands, and Truman did not want to
Mm.
really hear about that. Um, do you, again, it could be interpreted on a couple of different levels. When Truman says, "That's not your problem, that's my," it's not the man who invented the bomb that they'll remember, it's the man who dropped it, meaning
Yeah.
me. Was that, you can kind of, I sort of saw it two ways. One is him saying, "Not so fast, buddy. It's, I get the credit and the blame, but also the credit." Was it him trying to kind of one up Oppenheimer, or trying to assuage his conscience, do you think? And did you and Gary play it in a particular, did you talk about it one way or the other when you went in to do it?
Well, first of all, it was one of my favorite days on set, working with Gary, who was one of my all-time acting heroes. So I worked with very briefly on one of the Batman movies. I can't recall which one, but I definitely worked with him before. And in terms of I guess, is Oppenheimer looking for some sort of absolution in that scene, uh, or is he looking for to be? I'm not sure. I think it's nice that it's sort of ambiguous, But I do think it's certainly a turning point in his story, in how he dealt with his legacy, if you like, and how he moved forward in dealing with the development of the hydrogen bomb and his whole attitude towards nuclear proliferation. I do think that's a very key scene in his development and in his story.
Right. It's a true turning point. What's interesting to me too about this particular movie is the conversation that it has sparked. Speaking of legacy, um, it's still relevant. I mean, the community, the
Mhm.
downwind communities in New Mexico have used this movie, or used this opportunity to remind us of the health effects that those communities suffered at the time, and continue to live with that legacy of.
Yeah.
I'm wondering too, so you were born in the 1970s, and as these events themselves recede, their relevance might seem to recede. So I was just wondering, was this event, was this man, and also the bomb he created and the events surrounding it, was that relevant to you before this? Were you aware of it, or was this kind of a galvanizing moment for you personally?
Um, I was aware of who Oppenheimer was. I was aware that he was, the father of the atomic bomb, and that he kind of ushered in the nuclear age. Um, I'm not sure if growing up for me in Ireland that it was uh, as big of a deal as it was perhaps in America or even in the UK. Um, I think we were dealing with our own conflict just up the road, in the north of Ireland. So it was very educating for me to dive into the research. But I think um, it's kind of ebbed and flowed, the how people deal with this sort of sword of Damocles, if you like, which is um, uh, nuclear weapons, which we all live underneath all the time. And anytime there's a conflict, it comes to the fore, and then it goes away. Choose not to think about it a lot, but it's something that's been part of Chris's thinking for a long time. He's never forgotten about it. Do you know what I mean? And it was then, as we started shooting the movie, uh, the invasion of Ukraine happened just a couple of days before we started shooting. So, it sort of highlighted how how relevant, or sadly relevant, this story still can be.
Absolutely. It's so true. I think we've been kind of, like you said, we've been distracted by the events of the day and kind of lulled into thinking it's been gone away or been solved or
Yeah.
something like that. And not so. It was interesting to me in the movie, um, that he, as in real life, Oppenheimer refers to the bomb as as the gadget,
Yeah.
which is probably for secrecy's sake, but also a little emotional distancing there too. Like
Oh, I,
was that, what do you think was going on there?
oh, I definitely think it was some sort of cognitive dissonance, that they had all of those scientists, I think that was certainly part of this sort of kind of moral or semantics or gymnastics that they used to try and be able to work on it, because they knew ultimately it was a genocidal weapon. That's what they, of course they knew that, but they called it the gadget, and they called it a race against the Nazis, and it was justified by the fact that the Nazis were going to develop theirs quicker, but then Germany was defeated, so it became so interesting morally, certainly from a storytelling point of view. That's where you see Oppenheimer wrestling with all of this. So it's so rich for storytelling because of the dilemmas that they were grappling with. And I remember reading about him at one point again. I think as a sort of a defense against his own conscience, he used to kind of differentiate between guilt and responsibility, which I thought was fascinating. He said that I don't feel guilt, but I feel responsibility, which is quite a distinction.
Indeed. Another wonderful chamber piece and a continuing motif throughout the film is Oppenheimer's relationship with Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
Um, it was a mix of respect, some disdain there, a little competition. Let's take a look at a scene between them and then come back after the clip.
Cool.
What do you take it to mean?
Neutrons smash into nucleus, releasing neutrons to smash into other nuclei. Criticality, a point of no return, massive explosive force. But this time, the chain reaction doesn't stop.
It would ignite the atmosphere.
When we detonate an atomic device, we might start a chain reaction that destroys the world.
Again, another relationship that can be understood on multiple levels at once. So when Oppenheimer brings this dilemma or this project to Einstein is that genuinely to get his input, or to sort of I don't know, is it a chess move of some kind?
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I enjoy the ambiguity of that. I like when the movie asks the question but doesn't give the answer, and they had an interesting relationship. Do you know? And Einstein had an interesting position about that whole development, but I feel like he again he was going there for practical reasons, but I think you're right. I think he needed to go there to kind of defer a little bit to the his former teacher, or the former king of this world, which was physics, but not of quantum mechanics, obviously, because he kind of didn't he didn't subscribe to quantum mechanics. Um,
Right, and that gets personal.
yeah,
That's not just an intellectual. You're planting your flag there in a really deeply personal way when you get to that level.
the mad thing was, we actually shot in Einstein's office in Princeton, which is incredible. You could, I believe in this stuff. I believe you can feel the vibrations from these locations. And we shot in many of the real locations, in New Mexico, in Los Alamos, and in Princeton, and it does something to us, I think, as performers.
That's fantastic. I mean, I can only imagine, that it just reminds you of the stakes, and it's literally and figuratively grounding. I
Yeah,
would think when you're in those spaces.
for sure, absolutely. And Chris was very determined to shoot in as much of the real locations as he did. We shot in the real Oppenheimer house in Los Alamos, which again, for myself and Emily Blunt, who plays Kitty, it was emotional to be in these rooms and walls that had actually experienced these real life events and had been home to these characters.
Mm. So, Cillian, I can't believe I'm saying this is your first Oscar nomination.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What was it? Tell us about receiving that call. Where were you and what was it like to get that call?
Oh, I was at home in Cork City with my mom and dad and my wife, and we were just sitting in the kitchen having a cup of tea, and then and people were texting us and calling us. So then my mom brought out the sponge cake, and we had a bit of cake, so it was nice.
That's fantastic. I did see you very briefly at the AFI Awards lunch, which
Oh
is
yes,
part of this whole awards swirl that you're now in the swirling vortex. Speaking of vortexes,
yeah.
another kind of mushroom cloud in and of itself. What's that like? I mean, it just seems like it's almost a nonstop whirlwind.
Yes, it is. It is a bit of a whirlwind, but it's. I think I'm getting better at it, and it's such a joy to have the film celebrated in the way that it's being celebrated. Um, it's so lovely that we're getting this response, and it's also a real bonus for me to be in rooms with other amazing filmmakers and actors and directors and producers that I love, and I think it's been a really really strong year for film. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it.
Yeah, I do think, people get caught up in the competition of it, but I think what we don't see
Mm.
from the outside is really how collegial it is and how it's really you develop your own little community. Those of you who are going through this together, both within your projects and amongst your projects, it's really sweet to see.
Oh, very much so. And you actually get to say, to other actors or directors how much you love their work face to face, and you don't get to do that often. And I've really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah. We have some audience questions and I want to get to it. This is a question from Kelly Highland of Virginia who asks, I understand you're quite a private person and you have very famously maintained your private life, Cillian, which is one of many admirable qualities about you. Oppenheimer seems to have catapulted you to a different level of celebrity. Are you and your family handling it okay? This is from a concerned Irish American who so enjoyed Peaky Blinders. And I might add, another Peaky Blinders fan asked me to ask you, do we need to ask you to show us the red right hand? What?
Well, thanks to Kelly for her concern. I'm fine. I'm having a nice time. It's like I said, it's lovely to celebrate something that you work so hard on and that all of us work so hard on. Chris and all the cast have worked so hard on, and our crew. So I'm really enjoying that celebratory aspect of it. You're flying around a lot, so jet lag is never your friend. But aside from that, no, it's been great. It truly has.
That's fantastic. One of the wonderful things about Oppenheimer this past year, as you said, it was such a great year movie-wise. I
Yeah.
agree with you. So many wonderful films of so many different sort of shapes and sizes and approaches and tones and subject matters, and that's kind of what we want to see. It was really heartening to see people turn out to see Oppenheimer and Barbie, even though Barbie
Yeah.
was based on a toy, really just distinctly original storytelling and ambitious storytelling. Um, but speaking of Peaky Blinders, you've also experienced success in the streaming space. So I was just wondering,
Mm.
do formats matter to you when you're making decisions based on of what you're going to do next?
Um, I think in the past probably not, but now I am more aware of it. I think I'm very proud to have been part of a film that brought people to the cinema in such great numbers this year. I think it's a win for cinema. I don't think there's anything negative about that. From a TV point of view, I'm also really proud, that Peaky Blinders lives on a streamer and that people are constantly discovering it and rewatching it, and it never goes away. And people have a different connection to a TV show, I think, sometimes than they do to a film. Although Oppenheimer was unique in that people were going to see it 4 and 5 and 6 times and telling me that. But the thing about a TV show living on a streamer is that it never really goes away. It's always there, and people have a real ownership of the show and of the characters, and that's something that's really special and unique, I think.
Yeah, indeed. I want to get to one more audience question. We have to get to this one because this is from Michael McCarthy, who's writing in from Cork, Ireland, a place with which I think you are quite familiar.
Yeah, yeah, my hometown.
Michael McCarthy asks, what other figure from history would you love to play?
Yeah, it's a fair question, Michael. Up Cork. I don't really go about it that way. My career is so haphazard and random and unplanned uh, that I've never really set goals for myself other than trying to challenge myself and to find good writing. So I never say, oh, I need to do an Irish film now, or I need to play a historical figure now, or I need to play a period film now, or a sci-fi film. It's just serendipity or whatever seems to turn up. Um, so I'm very open to playing historical figures. I'm very open to playing contemporary figures. I'm just open to it all as long as it represents a challenge and there's good writing and I can collaborate with talented people.
So speaking of these people that you are now in rooms with and you're able to tell them how much you admire, is there a particular filmmaker, writer, director that you would love to work with whom you have not worked before?
Well, again, there's so many, and I stopped making lists of those people because what tends to happen is that I will give you a list of actors or filmmakers, and then I'll immediately like say goodbye and then forget to have mentioned so many others. So I think I really believe in the universe um, choosing what happens next, and you end up getting the work you're supposed to get. I think if you make good work, it begets good work, and I think that's the biggest calling card you can have is to make challenging work and good work, and then hopefully the people that you admire, the filmmakers, producers, and actors, that they will respond to that and hopefully call you up.
Well, if I may make a request, one of my favorite Cillian Murphy movies was The Wind That Shakes the Barley. That was actually the first time I ever interviewed you. This is the second, but that was the first time I interviewed you was for Ken Loach's wonderful film.
Yeah.
So I really hope you get a chance to collaborate with him another time.
Oh, I mean, one of my heroes, a master filmmaker. I learned a great deal making that movie. It was a profound experience for me, and I'll never forget it. So yeah, listen, I'd do anything for Ken. I'd work with him tomorrow.
Now, what should we watch out for you? What are you in? Where are we going to see you next? Do you have a project coming up?
In fact, I do. I have a film called Small Things Like These, which is opening the Berlin Film Festival on the 15th of February, and it's an adaptation of a Claire Keegan novel, and it's adapted by Enda Walsh and directed by Tim Mealance, and I am in the movie, and I am really, really happy and proud of it. So we're very excited about premiering that movie on the 15th.
You plus Enda Walsh, I am there. That is a fabulous combination. I love it. I wish we could go on. This has been a fascinating conversation, but unfortunately, we're out of time. Cillian Murphy, thank you so much for joining us on Washington Post Live.
Great. It was a pleasure. I'm really glad you could hear me.
It's always a plus.
It's a bonus. Take care.
You too. And thank all of you for joining us here today. To check out what interviews we have coming up, please head to WashingtonPostLive.com to register and find more information about all of our upcoming programs. Again, I'm Ann Hornaday. Thanks again.